You see, it's either you have a fixed mindset or you have a growth mindset. Some people are rigid in their thinking. They are in love with their opinions. And it's amazing that sometimes reality would stare them in the face and they would still refuse to change. You cannot afford to do that if you want to succeed as an entrepreneur. You must always have a plan, quite all right. But you have to accept the fact that things will not always work perfectly to your plan. Your adaptability, your flexibility is going to be the only reason why you will not fizzle out in the process of trying to achieve business success. Very important. Your flexibility, your malleability, your willingness to change course, change direction, to make changes, to adapt is very, very critical. So be flexible and be willing to experiment. This is important. When we talk about persistence, it doesn't mean that you should try the same thing exactly the same way 1,000 times. Wisdom requires that if you tried it a particular way, it didn't work. When you're trying again, you should tweak the approach. You should make a little change here and there, especially if it is based on research or on data. So, be flexible. That's the important thing. Listen, some of the biggest breaks that people get in business sometimes come from some dimensions to their business that evolves as a result of their activity that they actually were not conscious of at the point at which they started. You see, you can't always predict how people are going to respond to your product or to your service. So you need to take action, like we have emphasized before. You need to be a person of action. That's important. But in the process, you need to get the data. You need to take the reading. You need to find out exactly what people want and what they don't want. And sometimes your assumption about what they want doesn't fit perfectly by the time you get to the market. Perhaps somebody else is already meeting that need. And you may just find out a little adaptation here or there could just put you on a different trajectory altogether, help you to meet their needs in a way nobody else did before. And the next thing is success, outstanding success for that matter. So be flexible as an entrepreneur. This other dimension is important. Diversify. It follows on the flexibility. You need to diversify. We did emphasize before on the need for us to be able to build systems. That when the business begins to demand for resources beyond the capacity of one person, you need to realize then you need to begin to hire people. When you bring them to maximize their resources, their training, their skills, you need to define what each person is supposed to do and put them in the area of their specialty. So that helps you to keep your business running for the long term. So this other dimension is also critical. That once you have achieved success in a particular area of business, you need to leverage that success to build other areas of business. Primarily because, one, the business environment is turbulent. If you live in an environment that is unstable for several reasons, it could be government policies change at very short notice. It could be that the economy is unstable, the social situation is unstable. You need to diversify so that if for some reason, whatever reason, while line of business closes or shuts down, some other lines of business can keep you going. Diversify, diversify, diversify. That's what they say to entrepreneurs, and it's good to keep that in mind. One other thing I'd like to talk about is continuous self-improvement. Continuous self-improvement. Successful business people are learners. They are lifetime learners. However good your seed is, the quality of the soil is going to affect its yield. They know. So they're reading, always. They're reading, they're listening, they're watching videos, they're learning from successful entrepreneurs, they're learning from mentors, they're learning from people they've never seen before, but because they can get their CDs or get their audios or get their books, they are able to learn from them. You've got to commit to learning as a lifetime experience. So it's an investment not only in your business, but in yourself. When you attend a seminar, when you attend a training, when you read a book, and because things are changing, the environment is changing, you have to keep reading. It's got to be a continuous thing, but more importantly, to the shaping of your mindset. When I see sometimes a book written by a billionaire, I read it. Okay? I read it. I know once I bought How to Become a Billionaire by Alan Sugars. And it was just amazing because I took my pen and I underlined and underlined and underlined. And what I saw in the book confirmed the fact to me that what makes billionaires billionaires is the way they think. And of course, the commensurate actions that they take. But their thinking is different from that of the average person. So keep reading. If you want to continue to upgrade your business, you have got to keep reading. You have got to keep learning. You've got to keep attending seminars and conferences. There, entrepreneur, you are going to experience a lot of challenges. You are going to have your fair share of setbacks. Okay? But how you respond to them will always be the deal maker or the deal breaker. Remember the famous statement, it is not the things that happen to us that hurt us, it is how we respond that hurts us. That was from Eleanor Roosevelt, wife of former US president. It is not the things that happen to us that hurt us, it is how we respond that hurts us. So as an entrepreneur, you're going to have some setbacks somewhere. It's your attitude that's going to make the world of difference. Your attitude, how you respond to it. So my encouragement is maintain an attitude of gratitude. You've got to maintain an attitude of gratitude. Always be grateful. And you know the key to that? It's still the mindset and what you focus on. People who focus on what is not working well in their lives are always negative, always sad, always complaining. You know what? What you focus on is what expands. So the more they focus on the negative, they focus on what is not working, they focus on the figures that went down last week, the more the feeling expands and the more that becomes their reality. So focus on the positives. Oh, a senior friend made a statement many years ago that was transforming for me. He said, don't focus on only one statistic. When you're checking what's going on in your organization, don't focus on only one statistic. He said, definitely there will be other data coming at you. He said, everything cannot go down at the same time. Oh, was that paradigm shifting for me? Everything cannot go down at the same time. So I then learned to look at more factors than one when I'm checking what's going on. And I found out there will always be something working right. At those times when something negative has happened or is happening, it is absolutely crucial for us, very important for us to deliberately, as a matter of choice, scan all the the data, scan all the figures, scan all the factors, we will find something that is working right. And the response to that should be gratitude. It should be gratefulness. Listen, gratefulness will keep you sane. Gratefulness will also open you up to insight, open you up to understanding, so you really understand what is going on. And it gives you the capacity, therefore, to create a solution or to capture one. So the gratefulness is absolutely key, but it depends a whole lot on your perspective. So the person with the mindset for business knows that innovation is critical, that no problem cannot be solved. There's no problem that cannot be solved. If there's a problem that cannot be solved right now, it's just simply because we don't know how to solve it. But to conclude that there's no solution is absolutely wrong. So the person with the mindset for business is always out to capture new ideas, capture new solutions. They have the capacity to think for the customer, to sense what the customer wants, to empathize with the customer. And they take practical actions to meet people's needs. So I want to encourage their viewer. This is your season. This is your moment. This is your time. Let's do it. Let's do it together. I know there are some of us that by our passion, it's non-profit organizations that we are starting or that we have started. And I just want to say the principles apply across board. They do. It's just that the bottom line is different. But we want to make a dent on the problem in our world. We want to shape our world positively for good. So I want to encourage you today. You're listening to me and you say, well, I don't run a business. I want to say the organizations run similarly. The objectives are different. You've got to have the capacity to add value wherever you are.